This time we have a first to 50, Saki versus Delta. Delta's been consistently using left side GTR throughout his matches. Saki's style has been pretty varied. Saki's defending with a 2-chain. Delta has a 4-chain set up, but the blues get covered. Delta's now going for a 2-chain, but he can't draw a blue. Saki's just going to send his main chain. Delta's GTR was pretty covered, and he can't uncover it in time. Saki takes the first point. Looks like a potential all clear almost. Delta's going to get the all clear with the 3-chain. But Saki has a 5-chain counter. Saki probably has the advantage, but we'll see what happens. Delta gets a red rock and 3 lines, and then he digs with the 2-chain. Saki's built a counter that starts on the red, and he doesn't start it yet. Delta's setting up. He's going to send what he has. Saki only has a 4-chain. Delta has a 5-chain. And Delta gets the win. A lot of times it's said that if you can counter a 3 or 4-chain all clear with a 5-chain, then you have the advantage, but Delta was able to win in that situation, even though his 3-chain all clear got countered by a 5-chain. Saki's locked in his transition. Delta's pretty flexible. Can send a 3-chain, but he covers it. Delta sends the first single, but it gets countered by a single. And a 2-chain from Saki. Delta's going to be forced to play his main chain. It is connected, and it's probably about 12 or 13. Saki's getting the perfect colors he needs, and he's able to start his main chain. It looked pretty dangerous there, but he did get the right colors. Is it going to be enough, though? The tail goes to the reds. Maybe the purples, actually. Since it's going to go to the purples, it's going to be enough. It's a 13 chain, and then the purples make 14. Even with the follow-up, Delta's probably not going to have enough. He actually has a pretty good second chain. It clears about everything, and it is enough. Nice follow-up there from Delta. Saki's got a second chain of his own, though. It's going to clear about as much as he can as well, and it's going to counter everything. And Saki ends up getting the win. Good second chains from both players. Saki's main chain strength was pretty much the difference there. 2-1 now. Delta's continuing on with left side GTR, building a multicolor transition right now. He's got a 3 or 4-chain set up, but usually that's just for defense. Saki's sending a 2-chain. Delta can't draw a yellow starter fast enough. He could have made a 3-chain counter with the yellows, or even a 6 or 7-ish size chain if he wanted to, but he didn't draw it. Saki's going with flan stacking, or Fran stacking, however you want to say it. Delta's building that multicolor transition. Saki attacks with a 2-chain, but Delta's got a 3-chain counter readily available. Saki gets a line of garbage and he's going to have to dig a little bit. Delta's setting up a follow-up 2-chain. Saki defends with his main chain, actually. But the tail doesn't... the tail goes into the greens, and it goes all the way to the greens at the end. Saki ends up getting an 11-chain. Delta starts his own main chain. Everything's going to disappear in the tail except the blue and purple at the very top. Delta's probably going to have more than enough. And Saki's going to need a really big second chain. Delta's got 13 double. Saki doesn't get his chain off. He might have had enough Puyo to get a counter if he could start the chain and it all disappeared, but he didn't even get the starter. Potential all clear start, but the red doesn't come before the purples appear. Saki's building his own multicolor transition. And he places a red, and it's going to connect his main chain. Delta's attacking just at that moment. Follow up 2 chain from Delta. Saki can't draw a red. He was going to use the reds to make a 2 double. But he didn't draw the red in time. Saki's going with the right side transition this time. Delta's building a 2 chain in the middle. Actually, it's a 4 chain. Saki gets some garbage. That single is actually affecting Saki, but he's going to dig with a 4 chain. It's going to get countered by a 6 chain though, but that's using a lot of Puyo. Saki's going to be able to set off his main chain. Delta's going to have to extend in a hurry. And he may be able to do it. His form is pretty good. He's looking for purples though. Needs some more purples. And one more purple and a yellow star is actually better. He gets the starter too. He's extended as much as he could, and we'll have to see if it's enough. Looks like it's going to be enough, and Saki's going to need a second chain. Delta had a 12 chain there. Saki's getting an all clear though. It's might still be close. If he counters it, he can get a follow-up all clear as well. And he does get the counter, and he's going to win without the follow-up all clear anyway. Saki, both players are showing some really good second chains. Delta was able to extend and counter, but Saki just had enough time to make a big second chain. It probably mostly came down to Delta using too much in his counter when he made a 6 chain counter. So even though he was able to extend and counter again, he didn't have as many Puyo to work with as Saki did. Delta's making a big move. It's a 4 chain. Saki doesn't draw the green in time, and Delta gets the win with the 4 chain. And we're all tied at 4. Delta's doing left side GTR as always. Saki's doing a left side transition too. Delta's sending a 2 chain. Saki's gonna have to counter with his main chain. It clears about everything though. There's only 1 green left over. Delta needs a purple on the tail and a blue starter. He doesn't get the purple on the tail, but he does get the blue starter. It's probably gonna be close. With the purples, it would have been enough, but without them, it's just barely not enough, and Saki should get the win from here, sending a follow-up 5 chain. And Delta doesn't have the space. He's trying a chain, but it's a 4 chain, but it's not enough. He just didn't have the space to work with after not countering with the main chain. 5-4 in Saki's favor now. Delta's not doing GTR this time. Saki's got a left side transition. Delta still seems to be doing a left side transition. He's going to send a 2 chain for now. Saki's countering with a 5 or 6 chain. It is a 6 chain. Delta sees that, stops, and sends his main chain immediately. It's going to end quickly because it's a triple match at the end. So this is going to take away time from Saki, and Saki didn't have much time to extend. He's still able to set off his chain though, but the purples don't connect, and he couldn't connect enough to counter everything. Being able to send that main chain for Delta as a triple at the end was very effective there because it took time away from Saki. So Saki didn't have as much time to extend and win. Delta's back to doing GTR, but he could be setting up a 2-double. He can send it on the green. 2-triple. He can still send it on the green. And he's looking at it, and Saki's pre-countering it with roughly a breaking main chain. Delta's breaking his own main chain to counter that, and Delta's going to end up ahead and probably win from here. Saki has a 3-chain to dig with, but Delta's built a tall counter. You can start it with the greens, and he's starting with the other the greens and then the reds to make a 3-double. Saki actually has a 4-chain though. It might not be decided yet. I think Delta still has a pretty big advantage, but Saki's still playing. And 5-chain from Delta. Saki doesn't seem to have enough Puyo on his field even that he can reach, and Delta does get the win from there. Delta takes the lead now, and it's 5-6. Oh, Saki's sending a surprise 2-triple. Delta can't draw the red in time. He probably would have had a big advantage if he could draw the red, but he couldn't draw it in time, and now Saki's getting an all clear, but Delta draws the exact starter. This is probably going to be Delta's win with that. Saki's just going to give it up. Delta got a little unlucky the first time, but then he got lucky the second time to draw the exact colors he needed to start. He needed them both on the same piece to be able to place it on the X. Left side, left side. Brown stacking from Saki again. They're both kind of setting up. They have a lot of options to attack and defend, but neither player's moved yet. Saki counters a single with a 2-chain, and Delta makes a 2-chain of his own. No garbage gets sent in the end. Saki's probably looking for his main chain, but he's just going to start it. Doesn't want to take any garbage and risk filling up. Delta's looking to extend with the yellows. He needs one more yellow, and he's going to get it. Is it going to connect, though? Looks like the blues need to... He needed a blue on top of the green on the very left column, and there's a red in the way, so he's trying to clear it, but he wasn't able to do it. 6-7 now, Delta's still in the lead. Saki's setting up a big attack. Can't start it on the reds, and he does. Delta's going to draw the blue starter, and it's a 4-chain, but it's not decided yet. Saki counters that with his own 4-chain. Delta's going to build up a counter. He can't start anything off, but he's built tall. And clears a big single, but now it looks like Saki's at a pretty big advantage. Delta sends a 2-double. This might be a chance, though. And Saki didn't fill up, but he can't dig his chain just yet. He needs a lot of purples. One more purple will do it. He has to make a 2-chain instead because he didn't draw the last purple. Everything's getting covered. But he still has a chance to dig. And he now has a yellow starter. Oh, he's just going to blow up a big single and then make a 3-chain. But now Delta's had time to build a form of his own. Delta's going to clear everything he can, and it becomes an 8-chain. Saki sends what he has. Doesn't look like enough, but it's a 5-triple, and it's not quite enough. Delta does get the win. 6-8 now. We've seen Saki mix in some unpredictable attacks, and he does it again with a strange 2-chain. Might be learning from Kumachom. Delta's going to dig with the 3-chain. Saki can't draw a green to start a counter. And Saki's actually in trouble. Delta's following up, and the follow-up is going to win it. Saki's not winning with the unpredictable attacks right now, but perhaps he might be forcing Delta to adjust or drawing off Delta's standard plan, and he might be gaining an edge that way, even if he's not actually winning the round. Two double setup from Delta, but he doesn't actually go for it. Saki was kind of countering that in advance with the 3-chain, but Delta didn't even go for the 2 double and sends a 5-chain instead. It's going to get the win. Looked like Saki was making a prediction there that Delta was going to send the 2 double, and Delta did a good job of not falling for it or not just auto sending it. Delta has a lot of options set up. Got a 2 double 3-chain or a 2-chain and some other things. Clears a single and then a 2-chain. Saki's countering with his main chain though. The greens on the tell for Saki don't work, but everything else pretty much is going to disappear. Saki gets a 10-chain, but Delta has enough Puyo to beat that, as long as he can get them to clear, and they are going to clear. And Delta's going to have the advantage. Saki needs a big second chain. And even though he's very good at building second chains, that one would have been tough to make. Just had to build a really big chain in not much time. Long GTR for Saki this time. Saki's been pretty consistently going for left side transitions in this match. He sends a quick 2-chain, and it's going to get countered by a 3-chain. Oh no, it's actually a 4-chain, and Saki sends a 5-chain. Delta has a green starter, but it's not that strong. It's only a 4-chain, but it is strong enough to go exactly even. Saki's built up tall in 2 columns, but it looks tough to build on his field. He might be looking for a green starter, but he can't get a green. Finally gets it now. And it's only a 2 double. And he's sending a 2-chain. Looks like he's having trouble getting power off and clearing a lot of Puyo in a single chain. Delta might have taken the win with the 6-chain, but Saki does get a chain off, and this looks to be strong enough. It's a 7-chain, and at the last second, Saki was able to find a big chain that he needed. I was going to say, in other matches, Saki's done a lot of right side transitions, but for now, he's pretty consistently just going with left side transitions this game, or this match. Two double step for Saki, and he sends it immediately. Delta counters with a 2 double, but Saki's following up. Delta doesn't have a good form left over. And Delta only has a 3-chain. Saki gets an all clear. Saki's going to get the win. Saki was able to read pretty quickly that the counter Delta made broke his form, and Delta didn't have a good form left over, so Saki just immediately sent his main chain, and that was a good play there. Another left side transition from Saki, and left side GTR from Delta as always. 2 double set from Saki in the middle. He needs to reach the greens though, and he clears a single instead. He's still got a 2 double though with the greens. 2 triple. Delta's got a 4-chain counter though. Saki made it a 2 double 3-chain. Delta does use his 4-chain counter, but the 3-chain, the extra damage from the 3-chain gave Saki the advantage in that exchange. Delta still has a 2 double of his own with the greens. Covers it though and makes a 3-chain instead. Saki counters by cutting the purples to make a 4-chain. That's very good cut so that he didn't have to send his main chain. And now Delta's forced to send the main chain first. Saki's got a blue starter. Can send it as a counter too, but he's just going to send it regularly. Delta had a 10-chain. It looks pretty close. Saki's chain goes to the greens at the top. 7 double 9 chain, and it's not going to be enough. He needed one more link in there somewhere. So Saki did a good job of forcing Delta to play his main chain first, but then Saki didn't extend enough. He actually had more time to extend. He just thought he had enough, I guess. Chose not to extend there, and it didn't work out. This time Saki's going with the right side transition. Delta's set up pretty defensively with the 3-chain, but he sends a big single. Saki reacts with his main chain. It was a lot of garbage to receive, so if he just took the garbage, he would have been in trouble. Saki manages to get the main chain off, but Delta's had time to extend. And the towel works very well. It goes to the purples, and Delta should have the advantage. Saki's going to need another chain. And it looks tough for Saki. He needs a yellow counter starter, but even then it wouldn't be enough. He had the piece I think he needed to start a big chain, but it wouldn't have been big enough. Back to left side transition from Saki, it looks like. He's got a 2 double setup, but it's really high up, so he can't reach it. And it would actually be a 3 chain. Delta's set up pretty defensively, has a lot of options. Sends a small 2 chain for now. He's got a 4 chain on the greens if he wants it. And now he connects his main chain. Saki's about to fill up though. He draws the exact piece to start his own main chain. Delta's looking and trying to extend one more. And Delta doesn't want to start with the greens, it looks like. He's still thinking. He just doesn't start his chain. Maybe it didn't work somewhere. I couldn't read it completely. To me, it looked like he would have had enough if it worked, so maybe it was going to break somewhere. Either way, it's now 9-13. Delta has a 4-point lead. Delta's got a small 2 chain and can make some other chains pretty easily. Saki's setting up a 4 chain. Didn't want to receive any garbage there, so he clears a single. Saki makes his 4 chain a 3 double. Delta's forced to react with his main chain. Saki can now see if he can extend and win. Delta's tell has cleared a lot early, so he only ended up with an 8 chain. Saki is going to have a better chain than that. The tell works perfectly, or everything disappears at least. The multi-match is pretty strong here though, and Saki does get the win. Now just a 3-point lead for Delta. It's 10-13. Saki's going with the right side transition this time. Delta's setting up a 3 or 4 chain. He needs some purples for it though. Saki's making a 3 chain of his own. Delta's sending a 2 double. Saki's gonna counter with that 3 chain. And he's still gonna receive a little garbage though. Delta's sending a big single. Saki needs to counter it. Actually, he's gonna just take the garbage for now. And then he sends a 5 chain. It was hard to read that was gonna be a 5 chain. Delta counters with a 5 chain, but Saki's 5 chain was actually a lot more powerful, and Saki gets the win. Delta might have had trouble reading that chain just because it was very tough to tell what it was doing. And he ended up countering with not quite enough. All clear match this time. Neither player has sent the bonus yet, but Saki sends it and it gets countered. So now it's a normal match. Albeit they both have tough, different forms to work with. Although Delta's made right side long GTR instead of a left side GTR like normal. Delta's gonna make his chain. Delta looks to have the advantage here. Saki's gonna need a follow up. And he is gonna get he had a purple starter. Looks like he thought it just wouldn't be a winning play to play it, though. Delta gets the win in the all-clear match, so now it's 11-14. Saki's going with right side transitions now. Might be changing it up. Two chain set up for Saki and he sends it pretty quickly. Delta doesn't have any counters. He could have played his main chain if he drew a yellow. I'm not sure if he would have done it even if he did, though. Uh, Another two chain from Delta, but he doesn't play it because he sees Saki sending a three chain. Delta makes a quick adjustment to make a three chain of his own, and it's an exact counter. It looked very much like Delta was going to send a two chain, and Saki was actually countering it in advance, but Delta didn't send that two chain. Delta's got his main chain going. Saki's trying to extend as much as possible. He's going to start here, and Delta's got pretty much everything cleared on his field. It became a 12 chain. Saki's chain is going to cut with reds, and Delta does get the win. Even without the cut, it might not have been enough. It would have been close. Delta's now up 15-11. Potential all clear, but the red doesn't come fast enough. Saki's going back to left side transition, mixing it up, I guess. The garbage kind of messes up his tail. He's probably going to clear it with the blues, and he does, and makes a two double in the process. And Delta finds a strange counter. It becomes a four chain, but his form is all broken up. Saki's going to start his main chain. It's going to connect down to the reds. Delta's going to have to recover from a tough form. He needs a blue on the left side. Oh, he's starting from a different spot. It doesn't end up working out, though. And Saki does get the win. Saki was able to see that Delta's form was pretty broken down, and Delta was going to have a tough time building a bigger chain there. And Saki got the win. Right side transition, this time from Saki. Delta could be setting up something. Saki's setting up, but it makes a big single. Delta's yellows get covered. He's going to have to send a two chain probably. And he doesn't want to send a two chain. Now he sends a two chain with at a different spot. And he's recovered. Saki's sending a five chain though. Looks to be a predictive attack. And Delta doesn't want to send with the greens. Looked like he might have had a counter, but it was tough for me to read actually. Either way, Saki's five chain gets it done, and it's now 13-15. Tough colors here. They aren't drawing any reds at all. Only one red at the very start. They both adjusted, and they seem to have workable forms for now. Saki attacks with the two chain though, and Delta can't counter, and Saki gets another win. He's one off even now. Another three color distributions. Delta's looking to attack, it looks like. Can send a big one on the purples, but he finally covers it. And Delta's not doing his standard GTR this time. Saki's got a big two chain, two double, doesn't send it. Delta had a pretty big five chain counter there, so Saki must have recognized that. Delta does end up getting covered by a big attack though, and Saki gets the win. It's going to be all tied at 15 now. Saki's brought back a 4-point deficit, but a 4-point deficit isn't much in the early game. Back to left side GTR for Delta. Saki has a two chain set up, and he's just going to send that two chain. Delta's going to send his main chain. Saki's going to have a lot of time to build up, and we'll see how well he does at it. He's going to start here. Delta's chain was just ending, so that's a good decision. But did he get enough in? It is going to be enough. It's going to be a 9 chain. Delta has a chance with the second chain though, but he can't draw a green starter. And even then, it didn't look like it was going to work well enough. Saki's on a bit of a win streak, and he's now up 16 to 15. Saki switches to a right side GTR. Could have been a left side transition. Delta's setting up his multicolor transition. And they both send 2 chains into each other. Delta's got a defensive 4 chain, and he's trying to connect to his main chain. He needs a red and a blue. He gets the blue down. He needs a red in the left column though, and he's forced to play a big chain that... oh, this is actually... found a way to get everything in there, and it is his main chain, and it's going to be quite big. I don't know if Saki's going to be able to beat this. He's going to need a great form. Delta got a 14 chain out. Saki couldn't beat it, and it's now tied at 16. Left side GTR is always for Delta. Saki's going with the right side transition. Delta clears a single. It doesn't cover the greens from Saki though, and he's able to make a 2 chain. Delta gets quite a bit of garbage, and Saki follows up immediately, and Delta can't draw the purples fast enough. That was a very fast decision from Saki to follow up there, and it was just fast enough to prevent Delta from drawing the piece he needed. Decisions like that are really tough to make in a really short amount of time, just because you want to kind of look at what your opponent has and try to determine where the garbage is falling and if it's going to cause a problem. Saki's forced to send a small 2 chain to counter Delta's bigger 2 chain, and Saki's in a tough spot here. Delta's following up with a 2 double, but Saki's got the counter and he's recovered, cleared most of the garbage, and sent some garbage to Delta. So with that play, Saki's taking a bit of a lead here. He's going to be forced to send a 4 chain actually. He didn't connect his main chain yet. Delta does have his main chain connected though, and Saki is going to try to build up and then send a bigger chain. Saki thinks he's got enough already. And we'll see if he's got it. It's going to go down to the purples and yellows. And it's going to be enough. Delta has a counter starter though. And it's going to be 4 double, but that's it. And it's just barely not enough. If he could have gotten the purples or the reds to disappear somehow, he would have been able to get the counter off. But Saki had another chain coming. It would have been a 6 chain, and Delta would have been hard pressed to beat that. 18 to 16 now in Saki's favor. Delta had been leading for a while, but then Saki's all of a sudden started taking over in this match. He sends a quick 2 chain. Delta's got the greens available, and he clears them as a single for now. When he clears the blues, it'll be his main chain. Let's see if he can adjust and find attacks that aren't his main chain. He does find a 2 chain for now, and Saki gets some garbage. He's trying to build another 2 or 3 chain, or 2 double. He's got the 2 double or a 3 chain, sends a 2 chain, and it gets countered by a 2 double from Saki. Saki seems to be slowly getting more and more of an advantage. Delta's got a 3 chain though. Saki has no immediate counter. He tries to build one and he doesn't get the colors in time. He didn't want to send his main chain. Saki was really seeming to get an advantage with every attack, but couldn't get a counter off for the last one, and it was enough for Delta to get the win. Saki's got a right side transition again. Seems he's transitioned into right side transitions. Delta's gonna send a 3 chain. Saki's countering. That's an impressive way to cut his chain and make a four double. Delta might not have even seen it. That there's a lot of ways that players often use to cut their chain, but that wasn't one of the common ones, and it might have caught Delta by surprise there. Saki does get the win with that play. Saki setting up a two double. Can't draw a red though to start it, and Delta has had time to build his own counter, but Saki sends a big single. Delta's blues get covered. He's kind of in a tough spot. Saki's gonna try to attack quickly. Delta's got a six chain though, and he's probably taking the advantage. Saki needs so many reds. He needs a couple more reds, and he couldn't get them all in time. Even if he got them, it would have been sending his main chain, and Delta would have had time to extend and win. Left side transition this time from Saki. And he's got a two double and he sends it. Delta has no immediate counter, but he draws a two chain, but Saki's following up. But the reds don't get covered, so Delta's able to start his main chain with the reds. If he had gotten two garbage in that column, the reds could have gotten covered and Saki would have won, but fortunately for Delta, that column didn't get two garbage, and he was able to clear the reds and start his chain. We're now tied at 19. Saki hasn't used an early attack in a while. Maybe he figured it just wasn't working out, or maybe he was just doing it at the start of the match, throwing it in to mix things up. This is a right side transition from Saki. He sends a big single. Delta gets kind of covered by it though. Delta's found it. Oh no! Delta fills himself up. It looked like he was trying to spin the piece over to the right, and he either couldn't do it or he messed up the execution and he filled himself up. 20 to 19 now. Saki's sending a two double. He used an exact piece to start it, so it's hard to see that one coming. He's got a two chain, but not much else. They both clear singles. Delta's got a three chain, doesn't send it yet. Saki had a three chain of his own, and he could have easily made a four chain or a three double. He's just gonna send his main chain though. Delta, looks like Delta can connect his main chain. It just might not be big enough. He's trying to extend, gets one more in, and oh, looks like Delta's gonna have enough. He's gonna have a 13 chain. It's more than enough, but Saki's had a lot of time. Turns out Saki's decision didn't work out there. He might have misread Delta's chain. Saki sent his main chain first without being forced to do it, but it ended up not being as strong as Delta's main chain. Delta setting up in the middle. A lot of greens for both players. And Delta's going to find a huge two chain. Saki's forced to play his main chain, but Delta did use a lot of Puyo. He's got a good form left over though, so oh no. He kind of looked like he was confused because he messed up his starter, but he found a way to start the chain anyway. It's gonna be enough, but Saki might be able to win if he's got a second chain, but he didn't get a second chain off in time. Delta gets the win, and it's 20 to 21. All clear start this time. Last time they built up a little and then cleared the bonus at the same time. This time Saki clears the bonus and Delta chooses to receive the garbage. And Delta finally clears the bonus. Saki's built up a counter though. It's going to be a 5 chain. Looks hard for Delta. Delta's got a... It becomes a 4 double. and it's not quite enough, but he hasn't filled up yet. Saki's following up with a 3-chain. Delta gets the perfect colors. He might have been able to start a counter, but he didn't get them. Saki does get the win, and now we're tied at 21. Saki's going with right side GTR now. Maybe he just likes to start out with various forms and then just use right side GTR. He's got a 4-chain setup, or a 5-chain with the blues. He's going to receive a single, and he's one garbage away from filling up, but he clears it. Delta seems to be in a tough spot, though. He's forced to send his main chain as is. Saki's going to be able to extend, but can he get enough? He's trying to make as good of a chain as he can. Delta's tail goes up high for an 11 chain. Saki can't get the chain off how he wants it, and Delta does get the win. Delta's chain might not have been as long as Saki thought it was, and so Saki was really trying to get off the perfect chain, and he might not have needed it. Big purple clear on Delta's side. It sends 2 lines. Saki clears his own single, but he can't clear all the garbage. He's going to dig with the 3-chain, though, to recover. It gets countered by a 3-chain. Saki can't draw the double yellows fast enough, and so he has to clear to get to the yellows. He now makes it 2-chain. Delta's purples get covered, though. Delta's probably going to have to make a 2-chain, but he's trying to go around it, and he connects his main chain instead. Saki was countering that 2-chain, but Delta didn't send the 2-chain. He instead connected his main chain. Saki can still extend and win, though. He needs a yellow on the right side and a purple starter. It looks like he just couldn't get it all. 21 to 23 now. Looks like Saki was really reading Delta's form, but Delta was reading that Saki was reading him or something like that, and Delta didn't play into Saki's attack. Saki set up defensively with a 3 or a 6-chain, connects the 6-chain and can start with the yellows. Delta set up pretty defensively himself. Saki finds a big single, and another big single. Consecutive singles are so powerful that Delta's probably going to fill up. He needs the perfect colors, and he can't get them all down in time. There's the power of the singles. Saki was able to just force an opening in, even though Delta was pretty well set up. The singles were just so fast and powerful that Delta couldn't really deal with them. Delta's setting up a 2-double this time. Gonna send it immediately. Saki spins the pieces around for a bit and finds a 3-chain, but his starter's gonna get covered, and this time Delta's gonna win with an attack. It's 22 to 24 now. Again, a right side transition from Saki. He's setting up a 2-double and sends it. It's actually a 2-double 3-chain. The 3-chain gives Delta time to, but Delta decides to start his main chain instead of trying to counter. It looked like he had a counter, but it might have been like a 6 or 7, 5 or 6-chain, I think. Saki's built up, and now Saki's sending his main chain. Looks close. The yellows and the greens on the towel don't connect, but he doesn't need it. He's got the counter already. Delta's got a 2nd-chain going, though. And it clears enough. Delta's taking the advantage. Saki needs a big chain. He's got a pretty good one, but it's not good enough. And Delta comes out ahead and gets the win. It's now 22 to 25. Delta's the first one to the halfway point. Still, a 3-point edge at this point isn't much. Saki's again doing right side GTR. Could be setting up. He has a 3-chain, but he's probably looking to use it defensively. Delta also has a 3-chain, but he covers it and gets some garbage from a single. The single attack might be powerful again. Saki can't spin the yellow over, but he's going to clear the garbage with a 2-chain. Saki's following up with 2-chains. Delta's got a 2 double though. Saki hurries and draws the purple he needs and makes a 3 double. He used the greens to cut and make a counter. Delta's going to use the reds to cut, so it's not his main chain either. It's a 5-chain. Saki sees this and sends his main chain. Delta has a tough form to work with to extend. He's trying to get a lot of colors in. He's going to need a red on top, I think. No, he's got the red in there. So Delta finds a way to extend from that position. And sets off a big chain, but it's going to be enough too. Good play there from Delta. Saki's got a 2nd chain though. And Saki clears as much as he can, and it's just barely going to send to Delta. It ends up being 2 lines. Still not decided because Delta has a lot of Puyo on his field, but he has to dig to them. Saki doesn't have much Puyo, but he's got the space to work with, and he's got a good form. Delta's going to want to try to attack and stop Saki from building up too much. He does send a 2 double, but Saki counters with a 4-chain. Great defense there by Saki, and Saki gets the win. We're just getting into margin time there. When I'm playing, something that I do is when I'm in the situation Saki was in, I just build up a big chain as fast as I can, but then I usually get hit by an attack, and I have to play my chain, and I don't get the opponent has a chance to out-extend me. So Saki did a good job of knowing to make a counter there. Delta's going to get an advantage with the 2-chain. Saki doesn't have much to work with, but he's found a way to connect his main chain. Now Delta has time to extend, but does he have the ability to do it here? He wasn't able to send his main chain with that, and he's going to end up losing. Delta might have thought Saki was going to send something else before sending his main chain, and Saki ended up just going straight into the main chain. More right side transitions from Saki. Left side GTR as always from Delta. Saki set up pretty defensively. He's got like a 5-chain on the purples. He's going to clear a single. That might have been an accident, but it doesn't mess up his form too much. Maybe it was a timed attack. Delta seems to be thinking at a loss for what to do, but he finds a 2 double. Saki can't draw a purple to counter that. That 2 double might have been a surprise too. Now it's 24-26. Another right side transition from Saki. And Saki does seem to be setting up more defensively in these matches now. Although he can make a 2 double 3-chain. Delta sending a 2-chain. Saki can't draw a counter starter, but he doesn't need it. Sends a big 2 double. Delta's carrying that with his main chain. Saki's going to need some purples, and he places the green. He's got everything set. He now has a green starter, and he starts with that green. He adds in the yellows too, as a multi-match. And Saki should have enough here. He is going to have enough. Delta probably can't counter this, even if he clears everything on his field. He's got a counter starter, but it wouldn't be enough. Saki wins by extending, and he's now at 25 to Delta's 26. Saki does seem to be just going with right side transitions now, and pretty standard forms. Saki's set up tall in the middle, but that's going to make his form hard to work with. He gets the colors he needs for the transition area, though. He's got a 4-chain on the yellows. Delta has a lot of attack options, but doesn't want to send into the 4 chain, but he's making a huge one. Saki's gonna just instantly send his main chain, so Delta's gonna have to convert his attack into a long chain. Saki probably saw the dangerous attack options Delta had waiting and figured Delta wouldn't be able to convert that into a long chain, and looks like Saki was right. We're now tied at 26. All clear start this time. Oh, Delta doesn't get the all clear. Saki gets the all clear bonus and he should win with it. Delta finds a 3-chain counter though. It's a good counter from Delta to prevent him from immediately losing. Saki's got a follow up though. Delta's still got another counter, but he's at a huge disadvantage. He's got garbage and no Puyo, and Saki's getting another all clear. Delta's gonna try to build up tall. He can make a 3-chain. Can make a 3 double. He's not lost yet. Somehow he counters Saki's all clear bonus. Saki's had a lot of time though to put Puyo down, and Saki doesn't have garbage on his field. Still, Delta's found a 3 double 4-chain counter. Delta's trying to fight back from a big disadvantage, but he's still at a disadvantage. Saki's attacking now. Delta can't set off one more chain. Saki finally converts into a win, and it's now 27 to 26. After missing that all clear, it looked like it was just going to be over for Delta, but he almost found a way to come back. He just couldn't get there in the end. Saki's got 2 double set up on the greens. Oh, 2 triple counter from Delta, but Saki instead goes with his main chain. Still, Delta might be able to win by extending. And Delta's going to use the yellow start at the last second. He's put down as many Puyo as he can, and then started his chain. And it's a very good tell. Tell clears pretty much everything. He didn't draw a purple, but if he drew a purple, he could have cleared that too. Saki's got a good second chain, it's just not going to be enough. Delta's chain was too efficient there and too powerful. We're now tied at 27. More standard right side forms from Saki. Delta's setting up the multicolor transition. Saki sends a big single. Delta gets covered a lot from it and he can't recover. And he's gonna fill up. Looked like he might have had a chance with the purple and red, but he couldn't get there in time or get anything off in time. Saki again shows off the power of single attacks and how strong they can be when they're well timed. Oh, 2 double from Saki, 2 triple, sends the 2 triple. Delta's rushing out a counter, but he can't get the counter starter, so he has to play his main chain. The tell doesn't really connect. It's very fast though. It's a 6 triple. Saki sees that's a fast chain and sends his main chain in time. It's close though. It's going to be enough. Delta has a chance with the second chain. He set one off. It's going to be 4 double. It's close. Saki gets 2 lines of garbage, but he has a Puyo advantage. Delta probably has the advantage overall though. Saki's attacking and Delta's going to send a 5 chain. I don't know. Oh, Saki can make a 5 chain on the left side perhaps. He needed a red starter. He just couldn't. If he got the red starter, I think he had enough there, but he couldn't get it in time. Not GTR this time from Delta, but it's still a left side transition. Saki's set up defensively with a 3 or easily extended to a 4 chain. Delta's just got his main chain though. Not much attacking from either player. They both find 2 chains now, though. Saki's trying to extend, creating a multicolor transition. He needs blues, and he has a red starter. Looks like a perfect chain from Saki. Delta's tell ends up working quite well, and it becomes a 13 chain. But I think Saki's going to have enough. Saki's got an all clear. It's not just an all clear, it's a 14 chain, and it's going to be enough. And Delta gets a second chain all clear, but even then, it doesn't look like it's enough. Saki does end up winning. Both players showing they can be efficient and clear every Puyo on the field in long chains, but Saki's main chain was just a bit longer than Delta's. Saki goes up 29 to 28. Potential 2 double 3 chain from Saki, but he's not going to go with that. Delta's set up pretty defensively. Has like a 5 chain. Connects his main chain though, and he's probably looking to send it. For now, he sends a single. He's trying to extend with the reds. He's going to need purples to start his main chain. And Saki's sending a breaking main chain. It ends up being 9. Delta does get his chain off. As long as it doesn't break anywhere, it should be enough. And doesn't look like it's breaking anywhere. It's gone. It's going to go all the way down. Saki has actually had a lot of time to put down pieces. He is going to send a chain. Doesn't look like it'll be enough, but if the purples and the reds at the tail connect, you might have a chance. It ends up not being very close, and Delta does get the win. We're tied at 29 now. Oh, potential 2 double from Saki, but he didn't even go for it. Again, got a pretty defensive setup, but actually converts it into a 2 triple. Turns out it wasn't a defensive setup at all. Or it was a defensive setup, but he found a way to convert it into an attack. Delta was prepared for that attack, though, and wins with a counter. Looked like in the previous matches, Saki has been setting up defensively and not really attacking much. So he might have been trying to throw Delta off by looking like he was doing the same thing, but then actually sending a surprise attack. Delta wasn't thrown off, though. Delta's got a 2 double, and he sends it, but it's going to be countered by a 4 chain. Delta's going to try to counter that, and he's got a 4 chain actually, but he's used most of the Puyo on his field. Saki starts his main chain. Saki's tail is going to end in a double, and Delta's extending. He's got a red starter, but figures it's not going to be enough. So Saki gets the win, and it's now tied at 30. Single from Delta. That's an early single. Saki sends a single of his own. Oh, 2 double from Saki. Delta can't draw the yellow to counter. It looked like he had a 4 chain counter, but he just couldn't draw the yellow. Saki was sending a 4 chain in advance, though, so he might have been able to beat that. One reason why you see players try to not clear singles early is because you get a bonus for holding down. So, like, your points are going up as you hold down, and then that gets added into your next attack. So you can make a really big single if you just don't clear anything at all and you use all the bonus points from holding down. It's not necessarily that they become really big, it's more that it just adds enough power to make it more meaningful and more threatening to the opponent. This match, Delta sets off his main chain. Saki's gonna need a green. Even if he gets it though, Delta has 14. Saki may not have enough. A lot of extra Puyo are being cleared early. And Saki's got a 12 chain. And it actually ends up being enough. But Delta has a follow-up, and he's gonna win with the second chain, it looks like. Saki can't make a big enough second chain in time. Delta does get the win, and we're tied at 31. Saki's going with the left side transition this time. We'll need a blue. Oh, he sends a quick 3 chain. Maybe he read that Delta was vulnerable. And Delta does receive the garbage, and Saki does get the win. That was a tough to read attack, so maybe Delta just didn't see it coming, and Saki could see that Delta wasn't prepared. It's good timing from Saki. Back to right side transitions from Saki though this round. Could have sent a big single, but he doesn't send it. Setting up a 2 double though. Delta's got a lot of counters, but they get covered by the single. Delta still has a 4 chain though, and he sends it as a 4 double. Saki just sends his main chain. Delta's gonna have the chance to extend and win though. Saki's main chain is actually only 5, and because it's so short, he might have taken the advantage. Delta wasn't prepared to counter. Saki's following up, and Delta can't get anything big off, so Saki does end up winning. Perhaps Saki knew his chain wasn't actually that long, and for that reason it was okay for him to send it. Saki seems to be setting up pretty stably and defensively. Last time I said that he sent a big attack, but it doesn't look like he can do it here. He does counter the single with the 2 chain, and Delta plays his main chain, not actually his main chain. Saki's trying to counter, but Saki didn't counter enough. Delta ended up sending an 8 chain, and Saki didn't send enough to counter. I wonder if something happened because he's not putting his pieces down anymore. Delta does get the win. And Saki's back to playing. Left side GTR for both players. Delta could be setting something up in the middle. Delta's gonna send a 2 double. Saki's got a starter though for his main chain. Delta's gonna have to extend and win. And looks pretty tough for Delta. Saki's chain is pretty good. Becomes a 12 chain. Delta does start his chain though. The yellows connect well. It doesn't break the yellows in the tail. That was a tough thing to do, and it might actually make the difference. It does make the difference. And Delta's probably going to get the win because of it. That was a really tough thing to connect properly because it looked like the yellows in the tail were going to break almost no matter what, and Delta found a way to make it so that those yellows in the tail didn't break, and it gave him the advantage. Saki doesn't fill up from the singles though, and he still has a chance to send a big chain. Delta might have overcommitted, thinking that Saki was going to fill up, and Delta needs yellows and purples. And he needs one more yellow. Even if he sends it though, it probably wouldn't be enough. And Saki does end up winning. Delta took the advantage with a sharp chain decision, or a good job extending his main chain, but He got hasty at the end and tried to finish Saki off too fast, and Saki ended up stealing the win. 4-chain setup from Saki. Delta looks pretty aggressively set up, but doesn't want to play into a bigger chain. Delta's gonna send something, it looks like. Saki's pre-countering it with a 3-chain. Delta's got a 3-chain too. It's pretty close in power. Saki's got a 4 double because the green's cut, and Delta doesn't send the right size chain to counter. So Saki gets another win. 35 to 32 now. Kind of looks like Delta's looking to play more aggressively, and Saki might be playing more defensively. But we'll see if that trend continues. Saki does have a 3-chain set up, but he covers it. Delta sends a quick 2-chain. Saki finds a 5-chain. And Delta was attacking and Saki was defending, so it might be an actual trend. Saki just has to set off a bigger chain. Looks like he's got it. But Delta is going to have a lot of time to build a second chain, and he's been doing so very well in this match. Can he get what he needs off? He does start the second chain. It's pretty good. The greens and reds clear at the same time, but it's very powerful, and it's enough of a counter. Delta does take the advantage with the second chain, but Saki's got a dig available, and he's going to dig and probably win. Delta tried to make a 2-chain to force Saki to fill up, but Saki has his counter starter too close to being done, and he ended up being able to draw it. Saki's now up by 4. We're starting to get farther in the match, so still a 4-point difference here isn't exactly the biggest thing yet. A big single from Delta, but Saki's going to counter with a 3-chain. Delta's got a 2 double setup. Actually becomes a big single and then a 2-chain. I think Saki has the advantage here, but it's nowhere near decided yet. Saki sends a 2 double by cutting the yellows. Delta only has a single, and Saki's going to follow up and win. Delta can't dig to anything in time. If Saki was a little bit slower on the follow-up, maybe Delta would have had a chance, but Saki had a follow-up attack there immediately. 37 to 32 now. Delta's going to have to turn the momentum in a hurry. Saki looks to be setting up defensively again. He's got a 3-chain or a 2-chain. Sends the 2-chain, actually. It's going to get countered by a 5-chain. Saki's going to try to build a counter instead of sending his main chain, but he can't even draw a yellow to start. He had a lot of pieces. He had a lot of chances, but couldn't draw the yellow. Saki's got left side long GTR this time. Neither player is really looking to attack yet. Delta's connected his main chain, I think, and he's going to look to send it with the exact piece, and he's got it off. Saki's going to try to build up as much as he can, just sends his main chain too. Oh, Delta's main chain wasn't actually connected, so he's going to have to reconnect it. Looks like he's having trouble clearing singles. Saki's chain is going to be 13. Delta needs a yellow on the left side, and then a yellow starter, but it might not have been enough. Saki gets the win to go to 38 to 33. Left side GTR as always from Delta. Right side transition from Saki. He had a 2-double setup. If he still has it, if he draws a green and places it. Delta makes it 2-chain first though. Saki counters that with a 5-chain. It's tough to read. Delta's starting a chain of his own. It's going to be his main chain. Looks like a 9-chain. It is a 9-chain. Saki's starting his main chain. Saki's... It's going to be close. Saki does have a 9-chain as well. And Delta has to counter. He gets a double purple starter. And it is going to be a counter. It's going to be close in power. Saki gets a line, but Saki's got his own counter. That's only a 3-chain. Delta might have a chance now. Saki still has the advantage though. So Delta's got a 2-double, sends it. Saki only counters with a 2-chain and Delta might win. Everything Saki has gets covered. Delta still has a lot available and sends a 3-chain. Saki has a counter though. It's an impressive dig and he makes a 6-chain and looked like Delta might have recovered and won, but Saki wins with the 6-chain. It was a really good dig there. You're just getting into margin time. Now Saki's really starting to pull ahead, 39-33. If Delta had the momentum, a 6-point disadvantage wouldn't be too bad here, but it feels like you just can't stop Saki from winning now. Delta's setting up. Right now he just has a 3-chain. And it doesn't really look like he's trying to attack though, and he's just going for his main chain. He needs reds though. Saki's going to give him time to draw the reds by sending his main chain. The red was in the ghost row. Delta's going to get the next. Delta's trying to extend as much as he possibly can. And for good reason, because Saki had a 15-chain. And if Delta doesn't get everything cleared, it's probably not going to be enough. It's going to be 11 double, 12 double, and it's not enough. You can see why Delta was trying so hard to get every chain link he could, because he really needed it. Saki just had a 15-chain. 40-33 now. Saki's only 10 away from winning, and feels like he just can't lose right now. Big single from Saki. And a follow-up 2-double. Delta gets covered by it. And Saki's going to follow up with a 3-chain now, and it looks like he's got the win. Kind of a surprise attack there from Saki. Follows up the single with another attack. Saki's now up by 8 points. Saki's got 2 doubles set up. Doesn't send it though, and he sets up more defensively. Delta has a 2-double set up though, and he doesn't send it either, makes a 3-chain. Saki's countering the 3-chain very quickly though with a 5-chain. And Delta's going to be forced to play his main chain. Saki's got a good form left over. Saki's looking to extend a lot. And he's had to clear the double blues. And he can't quite get off the chain he wants. Looked like he might have even been extending too much. But Delta does end up getting the win. Delta's form looks tough to work with. The columns are very uneven. He's gotten the pieces he needed though, so looks like he can do what he needs now. They both clear singles. Saki's got a lot of attack options set up. Delta sends a 2 double into it. Saki counters with the 3 chain. Delta's gonna get a lot of garbage, and he might fill up. Saki's following up a lot. Now a 5 chain, and Delta's not gonna be able to counter a 5 chain. Saki gets another win. Now 42 to 34. Saki only needs 8 to win. Delta needs 16. Delta's form again looks pretty hard to work with. The 5th column is really tall up. He clears a big single though, and he seems to be alright now. Saki's looking at a 4 chain. Doesn't seem he has any other options, but he clears a single and then makes it 2 double. So he finds another option. It gets countered by a 3 chain though. And Delta's following up. Saki's got a 2 chain, but he's gonna get a line of garbage and he doesn't have space to work with. Yeah, he spins the pieces. He's actually gonna be able to start the match with an exact piece. Good job of Saki there to hold on and then find a way to get his chain off. Delta still has a decent chance to win though, if he can build a bigger main chain. Oh no, looks like he's not able to do it. Somehow Saki gets the win there, and Delta really just can't overcome Saki anymore. Saki's winning so many now. Saki's got a different type transition here. It's still a right side transition. Saki's going to have a perfect counter for Delta's 2 chain, and Delta really can't find a way to win. Saki's got another counter. Delta sends a 4 chain, but Saki counters with a 3 double, and it ends up being very even. Saki's got his main chain connected. Delta sends a single, but Saki finds a big 2 double. Delta's forced to respond. He's got a 4 chain though. Saki immediately sends his main chain. It's not quite going to interrupt, and Delta's going to have a chance to try and set off his chain. He needs some colors. He needs a yellow starter. And I think he got all the colors he needed except the yellow starter. And Saki's going to win another one. 44 to 34 now. But it looked like a very close match for so long, now looks very one-sided in Saki's favor. Oh, Delta sends a 2 chain. Saki counters with a 2 chain. Delta doesn't follow up immediately. But now he makes a 2 triple. Saki draws a blue starter, and it's going to be his main chain. Delta's going to have another chance to extend and win, but the colors don't seem to be coming. He finally gets a red, and then he gets the exact starter, so he is going to be able to start his chain. Is it going to be strong enough, though? Saki's also going to have a chance to build a second chain. Delta's got his tail working pretty well, and it becomes a 12 chain, and Saki's not going to win this one. Finally, Delta gets a point. It's now 44 to 35. Delta's still got a huge task in front of him if he wants to come back from this. Well, Saki gets the all clear, but Delta's got a 4 chain all clear. Delta's going to have the advantage. Saki, no one's cleared the bonus for so long. Finally, Saki clears it and sends it to quintuple, and Delta can't get a counter off in time. Interesting all clear match there. They both just held on to the bonus for so long, and Saki sent it when Delta couldn't counter it. 3 chain from Saki. Delta just can't draw a purple starter. And Saki's follow-up is gonna win. Delta might just be getting some bad luck here now. And that's not gonna help when he's at an 11-point deficit. Saki clears a single. Neither player's really attacking. Delta's looks like he's got his main chain just about there. He gets the red starter. Saki sees this and he's gonna extend as much as he can. He's gone really high up. And he gets the perfect starter. Looks like Saki's chain is gonna be quite big, but Delta has a 14 chain himself. Saki might be able to beat it though. Saki's got a 15 chain, but the power is going to be close actually. Delta gets 2 red rocks, and he doesn't have a counter starter. They both had really big chains, but Saki's was just a bit bigger, and Delta didn't have a second chain in time. Delta might be losing it now. Previously, he had been making really good second chains, but now he wasn't able to get one in that situation. Delta looks like he's going to attack with something. Saki's going to pre-send a 3 double. Delta can't find the right counter. It's only a 3 chain, but it's not nearly enough, and he's going to just fill up. Saki's just really winning every point now, pretty much, and it's 48 to 35. It would be a pretty amazing comeback if Delta was able to come back and win from here. Saki's got a really nice multi-color transition all set up. Delta's got a 4 chain though with his transition, and he hasn't connected his main chain yet. Well, Saki clears the single, but Delta's lucky to not get the X covered, and Delta gets his main chain off. Saki was trying to send his main chain quickly. Looks like Delta's gonna have the better chain though. Saki's chain is pretty strong though. Delta has a 15 chain actually, even though Saki's chain was alright. It wasn't even close to 15 chains power. A little bit of good luck or not bad luck lets Delta get the win there because the garbage didn't cover the X. And so he's found a way to get 1 point at least. Still, Saki only needs 2 wins, and then he'll win the match. Delta's setting up a 4 chain with a green and a red. Sends a 2 chain. Gets countered by Saki's main chain. Delta can extend and win. Looks like he's struggling with the colors, but he's gotten the ones he wants now. Delta's gonna set his main chain. Saki is probably gonna need a second chain. Delta's chain is very powerful. It's a 14 chain. Saki's second chain is good, but it's not going to be close. Delta gets another win. Another very big chain from Delta. Now he's getting his chains off and getting the power there, but it's probably too late in the match. Oh, Saki sends a surprise 2 double. Delta sends his main chain though. Saki might not be able to counter this. He's trying to extend on the tail. And I don't think he had it. He might have gotten the piece stuck. and wanted to send it though. 48-38, and Delta is starting to make a comeback, but it seems like it's going to be too little too late. Delta's got a 2-chain set up, and he sends it. Saki counters with the 2-chain, and he's got a tall form on the right, so he can dig pretty easily. Delta has a 4-chain ready. Saki's got a lot of options. Sends a 2-double. Delta sends his main chain. Is Saki's form good enough to extend? It looks like he's going for a green starter. And he does. Yeah, he doesn't want to clear the blues. And he doesn't get a chain off. Delta gets another win still. He hasn't given up yet. It's a bit late for a comeback, but maybe he can make it happen. Delta's got a 3-chain set up, but he's probably not going to send it. Saki has a 3-chain as well. Delta connects his main chain, but he's got a lot of options actually. Saki sends a single. That single might be a problem. Delta is forced to clear a 2-chain. 2-chain from Saki, countered by a 2-chain from Delta. Any garbage here could be fatal for either player. So they're trying very hard. Delta ends up receiving garbage though, and it's gonna fill him up. They're trying very hard not to receive any garbage, but in the end, Delta got just a little bit of garbage and couldn't do anything and filled up. Saki is now on match point. And he's up by 10. As mentioned in other videos, this is a league format, so your win-loss differential will come into play in some situations. Single from Delta. It's another situation where a little bit of garbage might be a big problem. Delta receives a little bit of garbage. And Saki's sending his main chain. Delta now has to find a way to make a big main chain. Spinning the piece around a lot. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. Saki's got a 14 chain. Delta's not. He's not going to get anything off, and Saki gets the win by 11, 50-39.